Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to connect today to the energy of Pesach, which we're still in until Saturday night. And so to do that, we're going to connect with the portion of Tetzaveh, page 47. So I'll start with the Aramaic. Hashta itlan להסתכלה בפסח נפקו ישראל מן ההמה דהתקרה. חמץ כתיב ולה יראה לך, חמץ וכתיב כחול, אוכל מחמצת מאי טעמה. בגין יקרא דהוא נהמה, דהתקרה מצה, השתא דזכו ישראל לנהמה, עילת יתיר לה, יאות הווה להתבטלה, חמץ. ולהתחזיה, כלל והמאי קורבנה דה, חמץ הווה, דכתיב סולת, תהיינה חמץ תאפנה, ודו, דאשתא ביומדה, יתבטל יצר הרע, ואורייתא דהתקרה חירו, אישתה חכת. Okay, Ellen, can you read?
We should now observe that during Pesach, Israel came away from the bread that is called chametz, and it is written, and there shall be no leavened bread be seen, and for whoever eats that which is leavened, which is the reason that they abandoned chametz. It is because of the honor of the bread that is called matzah. He asks, now that Yisrael merited a higher bread, the bread of Zeranpin, it would not have been proper for the chametz to be abolished and not be seen at all. Why was the offering of the first fruits bread chametz? As it is written, they shall be a fine flour, they shall be baked with leaven. Also on this day, the evil inclination was negated, which is the secret of chametz, as the Torah that is called freedom was available. Why then did they bring chametz?
אלא למלכה דהבלה, בר יחידאי וחלש יומא חד הווה תאיב. למחל אמרו יחול ברא דמלכה עזבתה דה. ועד יחולה, לה אשתכח מחלה ומזונה אחרה בביתה. עבדו הכי כיוון דאכל, ההוא. עזבתה אמר מכאן ולהלאה, יחול כל מה דיהו תאיב ולא יכיל לנזקה לה.
He answers, this is similar to a king who had an only son who became ill. One day he wished to eat. They said, let the king's son take this medicine, but before he eats it, no food whatsoever should be in the house. They did so. After he had taken the medicine, they said, from now on, he may eat whatever he desires, and it will do him no harm.
כך כד נפקו ישראל ממצרים, לה הווה ידעי קרא ורזה. דמאמנותה אמר קודשה בריחו, יתאמון ישראל עזבתה. ועד דיכלון עזבתה דה, לה יתחזה להון מחלה אחרה, כיוון דיאכלו מצה. דהי עזבתה למעל ולמנדה ברזה דמאמנותה, אמר קודשה בריחו מכאן ולהלאה. יתחזה לון חמץ ויכלון לה. דלה יחיל לנזקה, לון וכמו שכתוב דיב יומא דשבועות, יזדמן נהמה ילאה דהיהו עזבתה בחולה.
Similarly, when Israel left Egypt, they did not know the essence and secret of faith. The Holy One, blessed be He, let Israel taste medicine, but while they take this medicine, no other food should be visible to them, namely chametz. As soon as they had eaten matzah, which is a curative to aid in coming into knowing the secret of faith, which is Malchut, the Holy One, blessed be He, said, from now on, chametz is suitable for them, and they may eat it, because it can no longer harm them. And more so on the day of Shavuot, when the supernal bread of Zeranpin is present, which is a complete cure.
Okay, thank you. All right, so first, the first thing that we can say and notice is that the issue is not with the chametz. The issue is not with the flour, right? Because when we're talking about chametz, or more precisely the chametz gamur, it is the type of bread that has a lower consciousness. The chametz from the higher consciousness is the one that is called matzah, which we are allowed to eat during the 7 days of Passover. Now, this whole thing is very interesting. I mean, there are a lot of, like, I need to really like recenter my thoughts because I just want to talk about so many things. And so when we're talking again about matzah, we're talking about the higher consciousness bread. And when we're talking about the chametz gamur, we're talking about the lower bread, the lower consciousness bread. And so the lower consciousness bread is, possibly what we're eating all year long. Although my neighbor has like 26 different variants of allergies, and he actually eats like Passover food the entire year, and he's a Christian. So his regiment, like his nutrition, is basically that he eats whatever we would eat during those 7 days because of these allergies. So it's not exactly like, we're not talking about, okay, so if it's like so holy and it's like so elevated, so why don't we just eat like that the entire year? And the reason is because it is during this cosmic opening, the time that is called Passover, the 7 days of Passover, that there is a significance, a higher significance, an activated significance to eating matzah. Of course, we can eat matzah the rest of the year. Are you trying to say something?
There's an odd noise that we can't hear you, like a rubbing noise.
Okay. Everybody hear the rubbing noise? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for the courageous Anna for saying something.
Rich did too, on the chat, but you're excited about you're talking about, we want to hear.
Okay, so let me know if it continues or if it's better. Does it sound better? Good. So where was I? Right. So so why is it like so important to during the 7 days of Passover? Because there is a cosmic opening for the matzah. We could eat matzah the rest of the year, but it wouldn't have that same significance. So certainly it's very good, a very nice cracker and whatever, but that's not the point. It's not the point of what we eat. It is the point of what energy it awakens. And when we're talking about the chametz such as like the flour could be considered as like the highest range of the chametz gamur, but it's not chametz gamur because it hasn't been touched with water, and it's not a cookie and whatever. Like it respects like a certain regimen with certain rules. So if you have, for example, like a whole box or whole pack, unopened box of flour, there are some that would say that it's okay to keep in the house, and without going into the technicality part of it, that you could sell that flour during Pesach. And also the Zohar mentions that it's one of the first offering that was made in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Holy Temple, which was wheat. So wheat is basically what you make the flour out of, which is again considered as the chametz. So again, there is nothing wrong with the chametz. It is the energy that is imbued, that is injected in the mix of the water and the flour and the yeast that helps it to grow. So when you eat regular bread, This is why we get, we can say, addicted to gluten and to bread, and you don't get addicted to zucchini or to green salads, because there is a higher capacity of energy to be received. Now, obviously, the energy that is channeled is not a positive energy. It is an energy of desire to receive for the self alone. So even if you know that it's not good for you, but you see like pizza in front of you, it's harder to resist. And I know a lot of people that, if they are in the mood of, if they're a little bit depressed or they're a little bit like sad or worried or anxious, it's a good refuge, a good escape to eat. And like I said, if you're going to escape or find a refuge in what you eat, you're not going to eat grains and broccoli and zucchini and all the good and healthy stuff. You would go into the things generally that are not so good for you: sugar, salt, processed food, and pizza and bread and all those things. By the way, they are the most delicious. And I think I mentioned it in the past, but maybe not all of you remember that. But I used to, especially when I was in Toronto, I used to do juice cleanses. And I did it like 3 or 4 times, and each time was like for 10 days. I mean, it was like the first 3 days, I really wanted to literally eat somebody, because you're like withdraw. And it was very difficult. But after that, like on the 4th day up to the 10th day, I mean, you reach the 10th day and you're like, oh, I can continue another 10 days. But, ultimately I said, okay, I'll just transition back to food. And so what happened is, as I was transitioning back into food, I remember like the first thing that I ate was just green salad with nothing, just green salad, like small pieces cut up, green salad. As I'm taking my first bite out of this green salad, I had such an explosion of taste in my mouth, as if it was the first time that I ever tried green salad, and it was so good. It's like comparison to my favorite cream cheese, or my favorite pizza, 4 cheeses with the cheese in the crust or whatever. And so like I remember like the first times that I introduced my diet back into food, the simplest things had so much taste. But sure enough, after a week, after 2 weeks and 3 weeks, that I went back to eat somewhat normal. As soon as you eat the things that draw a lot of energy, which is basically some gluten here and there, like on Shabbat, you have to eat like a piece of challah, which is bread, and you eat like some meat, which is also tremendous draw of energy. This is why if for lunch you go and you eat a steak with French fries, you basically feel like you need to go rest for a couple hours. And this is why, by the way, like the Latinos and people in Spain, like, I used to live in France for many years, and they basically have 2 hours break after lunch. And it's a known thing, like in France and in Spain, like after lunch, like from 12 to 2, you have a break. And then you go back and you work from 2 to 6. I mean, it's, for me, when I was living there, it was normal. But, now looking back from here, like, who does that? Like, nobody's just going to stop from, actually in Spain, it's worse. They stop at 2 and they start again at 3 or 3:30. And, that's what they call like a siesta and whatever. Like, they have all sorts of names for it. But all this to say is that when you're eating those things, they draw a greater capacity of energy, and Satan is in full force, spreading its wings of temptation and convincing us that it's good for us, or that it's like it's like something new that's on the menu, and you see that it's like a risotto with all the best ingredients, and oh no, but actually, they just came up with risotto balls. Oh my gosh, I never had risotto balls. I really have to try that. And as I'm talking, like I'm salivating, just so you understand, like the capacity of my desire to receive for the self-alone around food. But this is how the body consciousness is influenced by those things. The other thing that it really like struck me as we were reading from those 3 verses is the cleanse part. The cleanse part before making room for the medicine to come in. So we spoke last Monday, about Moses being basically the channel for that remedy. And that remedy would have not been possible. What was, by the way, the ultimate remedy? It is the revelation on Mount Sinai. So in the story, it is the revelation of the tablets, the 10 commandments, and then the Torah, etc., etc. But in the physical story, even if we're talking about those physical things, it is the accomplishment. It is the accomplishment. It is the achievement of what level of consciousness, what level of cleansing the Israelites have reached. And that would have not been possible if there was no cleansing before. Even today, there are nutritionists that are saying, oh, it's good to fast for 24 hours, at least once a week. I wouldn't do it because my body doesn't like it. Maybe it would be good for me, but there are nutritionists that are recommending to sort of like restart your metabolism, restart your digestive system. And so what he talks about here is not about fasting, it is about removing, not just removing from your diet the chametz, it is to remove the chametz from your sight, so that you won't be, because the Creator and all the angels, they know that we are human beings and we're only human beings. And so if you put something that is like gonna awaken craving, so today we're spiritual and we're going to say, okay, I see the pizza right here and I'm just gonna say no because it's Pesach. But if you put that for 7 days, I can guarantee that on day 3, day 4, our level of restriction is not going to be as strong. And it's the same, by the way, for a lot of things. Like you think about men or women cheating or stealing or lying. And so at the very beginning, that the temptation comes in, like it's not strong. Satan, the evil inclination, never comes to us strong, like head to head. It's always starting like with a little seed that is so subtle that you can't even hear it. It can be like in the corner of our eye. It can be like you're driving and there is a billboard that you would really see it only if you turn your head, and something is going to awaken a desire that wasn't there yesterday. Or it can also be something, you're scrolling up and down on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever it is today. We're all hooked to one degree or another, or even watching TV, watch cable TV or the news, and there is like a commercial, and like it's so subtle. It can be like, okay, it's commercial, so I can pay attention to something else. And you pay attention to something else, but your ears, your subconscious is hearing what's going on. And so maybe on the spot, like you're not like really triggered, but the next time and the next time and the next time that you're going to hear it, the desire has traveled from being like a simple background noise to an interrogation point, to maybe like wondering, oh, that looks interesting. And this is how Satan evolves in our mind and in our subconscious. It's never like face to face coming and punching us in the stomach and going to force us to sin, or force us to make the wrong decision, or force us to to do things that are not going to be really in our advantage or to our benefit. And so when we're talking here about Pesach, that is, or the chametz, that is not just out of our diet, but that it is also out of sight. And so, for those that have learned throughout the years during Passover, we take out of the house completely all the chametz gamur. So pizza, so any basically flour that has been in contact with the water beyond the 18 minutes. I mean, to bake a good pizza, it's obviously, between the time that they prepare the dough like yesterday and they put it today into the oven, way over 18 minutes. Within 18 minutes, as I explained the last week, from the moment that the flour touches or water touches the flour, and we make the form and the shape and the hole and the flatness and whatever, and we put it in the oven within that frame of 18 minutes, this is what is called matzah shmura. So it's matzah that is within the 18 minutes and that we can eat during Pesach. Any other dough that is using yeast or that is beyond the 18 minutes, that is what we call chametz gamur. So any ingredient or any prepared food or frozen stuff that is made of that, we've given, for example, to our neighbors that obviously don't observe a Passover, and they were very happy to receive like these bags of stuff that we basically couldn't keep in the house. And then the second stage is basically to conceal under sold areas. So we put like a label sold for Pesach, and in those cabinets, drawers, or whatever that is dedicated for sold for Pesach, we are basically committed to not open this area for the 7 days of Pesach, so that it won't be accessible and it won't be on our site, and we won't have basically any temptation. So nobody stops us, right? It's like just between us and us, right? Like I can go to the cabinet. Oh, I forgot something. I can go and open the cabinet. Nobody's gonna, come and and sue me because I opened it. So it's not about the physical aspect or even the legal aspect. It is for us to awaken an energy that is cleansing my body and my soul from any potential desire to receive for the self alone. I am purifying, I am spiritually fasting from any type of access of connection to the desire to receive for the self alone that is represented by the chametz gamur, that is the leavened bread. Leavened bread, and we gave several examples of what that is. The leavened bread is what is called the lower consciousness bread, that has so much more significance during the 7 days of Pesach, and the unleavened bread only during the 7 days of Pesach, that has the opposite significance, an uplifted consciousness that is to nurture, nourish the positive, optimistic, hopeful, dreamy, praying side of us that exists throughout the year. But when we're trying to call upon that spiritual me throughout the year, sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's really hard because we're being challenged. And if during this time we're doing what we are, what is guided to us to do, such as, the listing of eating the unleavened bread and getting rid of the chametz gamur and out of sight of all the chametz, etc., etc. It's not just a physical exercise between us. I hate the preparation of Pesach. I hate it because it's so much preparation, it's so much cleaning, and my body just doesn't like it. My body is so lazy. I'm honest with myself, right? And the covering, I won't go into all the technicality, you have to cover the fridge, you have to cover the counters, and my body just please stop with this. And I know that it's not my soul that calls upon it. It is my desire to receive for the self alone that is alarmed that you're doing something that is right, something that is going to weaken the desire to receive for the self alone, so that throughout the year, when the spiritual you is going to be needed to be called upon, answering, responding to a needed situation, well, you know what? It's going to show up. It's going to show up because during this opening of 7 days, you didn't give it an opportunity to the desire to receive for the self alone part of me. And instead, you did all this work that you hated, that I hated, but in the moments that it's going to be the most necessary and needed, this energy is going to come out of nowhere. And you're going to feel like a burst of courage, a burst of positivity, a burst of desire that you didn't have before. And so I started to go, obviously my wife is always leading with the good ideas. So she started to go to a place that's called Hotworks. And it's like you basically do exercise in a sauna, yeah, I guess it's called sauna infrared. So it's very hot. And they have like all sorts of exercises, and it's like, you know, like this, I don't know what it's called, like you're biking or you're cycling or you're like doing like the thing like on the water or whatever. And they also have Pilates and yoga, and you follow like the guidance on the screen. So there is a screen and you just follow. And it says like, you know, you work out for 15 minutes, and it's equal as if you did 45 minutes of workout. Perfect place for me. I just don't see myself working out for this long. So the 15 minutes is just for me, like it's perfect. So my wife is doing 45 minutes because, you know, she's young and beautiful and everything else. But when I get there, I do the 15 minutes and I go wait in the car, recovering for my 15 minutes. But at least I started. Do I like it? No, I don't like it. I don't like to sweat. I don't like to be uncomfortable. And so anyway, this past Passover, Rebecca's parents are in town. So we were looking for a place to do the connection. So on Saturday morning, where we were working to this rabbi's house that is near our place. It was supposed to be 30 minutes walk, but we got lost. Obviously, it's from God that is punishing my body, that it just wants to be comfortable all day. And instead of being 30 minutes, it became an hour and 10 minutes. And that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that after we made all the way, we needed to go back. Right. So, you know, thankfully, like we got the way to get home after that. So it didn't take an hour and 10 minutes. It only took 40 minutes. But still, like I needed like 2 days to recover from that. But needless to say that I'm very happy that we went to do the connection, and it was beautiful and it was nice. I'm super happy, and I'm going to check if we can do the 7th of Pesach connection. I'll definitely ask my neighbor for a bike. I'm not doing the walk again. Anyway, my parents-in-law, like they come from New York, they walk at least an hour and 20 minutes every single day, going to Central Park, coming back, stopping in the middle, doing errands. Like that's what you do in New York. Here in Florida, where you go, like there is nothing walking distance. So like, you kidding? But anyway, learn my lesson. Next time, bike. So again, I hope that you understand what we're dealing with. So there are all those things that we are mundanely doing throughout the year, and we think that things are random, like the things that hit us throughout the year, and we just don't have the force, we don't have the strength, we just want to give up, or we are tired of dealing with certain situations, or it's aggravating, etc. We need to know that anything that is thrown at us is only thrown at us because we have the capacity in one way or another to not just to deal with it, but to handle it and to overcome it. So in its perfect state, we could handle it like just like this, like a split of a second, I could reverse the situation. But because I am filtered with so many layers in front of my spiritual eyes, that I'm complicating everything. Like I look at the worst in everything and in every situation and person. So I don't see those opportunities as great opening for me to draw light and to draw energy and blessings into my life. No, I see a problem and I see an obstacle and I see something that I don't like and I want to get rid of. But in truth, every single thing that is thrown at me in potential, in its capacity, original capacity, was born, was created and born to send me an opportunity to draw just another blessing. So you might say, oh my gosh, so I must have like 100 different blessings thrown at me every single day. And it's true. Every single day we have at least 100 blessings that are thrown at us, and we're probably missing 99% of them. Out of 100, probably missing at least a 99, if not 100 times out of the 100 of them. But as we are elevating our consciousness with those things that have been laid out for us for over 2,000 years, to tell us there is leavened bread, there is matzah, there is like a leavened bread, unleavened bread, and there is this cosmic opening, and there is matzah, and there is Pesach, and there is Shavuot, and those are just keywords to tell us all those things are not random. We are given a guide to deal with this game of life so that we know, like, we were born, our package, our entire package was born to succeed. We were not born to fail. If there is any verbiage, if there is any lexicon of failure, tired, procrastination, this was added up throughout the way because I got lazy and I looked the other way when I was supposed to make the right decision, and it accumulates, so it becomes harder and harder. But as soon as you're starting to work on yourself and removing those layers, the spiritual work becomes easier and easier. Challenges are not going anywhere. It's just that we are starting to recognize those challenges as opportunities more frequently. And that's all that there is to it. Pesach is a cosmic opening to make us to remember that we're spiritual beings and that we came to be successful at anything and everything that we set ourselves to. And I could say the same thing to my kids. Whatever you decide in your mind, you set your mind to do, you're going to be successful at it. And all it takes is practice. And so my daughter, I've heard that already like 100 times from me. And she started, like, I had to push her to go swimming. Now she's not, she doesn't need any push. Now she's trying to push me to go see her and stand there for an hour. And I'm basically pushing back because I'm lazy and I don't want to stand there. But, you know, I'm sending my wife. Anyway, that would be for another lesson. But all this to say is that, you know, in everybody's nature, at the beginning, when it's something that is new, that is coming to our face and it's challenging, we want to reject it. But as we practice it, and we have people, by the way, that are caring for us, that they push us towards overcoming something that is difficult, we need to be a little bit more welcoming about, you know, about our God-sent channels. Very often we don't like to hear any advice. We don't like to hear any guidance because we are independent and self-sufficient individuals, and we love to do things on our own. But all those people that are obnoxious or a little bit too direct, they are messengers. They're messengers for something, so I don't have to receive and hear and listen to everything that is being told to me, but maybe there is like a little bit of a message for me that I needed to extract from that obnoxious remark, and not take the attitude of an individual that is pushing my buttons personally, but just take the message out. Unfortunately, although those people that were like the most disgusting and painful in our life, we look back, unfortunately, it's like months or years later, we're like, thank God, you know, that I had this person, because that served me A, B, and C lesson. Now I look back at this person and, you know, I feel sorry that this person is like that. Like, this person is scarred emotionally and psychologically. And you know what? When this person was acting like A, B, and C towards me, I took it personal. But look, she's doing the same thing to this one and to this one and to the other person that comes after me and the person that comes after her and the person that comes after him. Like, it was never about us. but that person was sent to us to awaken something that needed to be learned. And because we're covered with all those layers that accumulated throughout the years and maybe lifetimes, that it's harder to see. I acknowledge that that I am blind spiritually, that I do not recognize all the opportunities, but at least give yourself awaken a desire to awaken a desire or awaken an effort to see, because sometimes we don't have the desire and we need to awaken the desire to have the desire. It's complicated, but at least to have that on sight that, you know, I want to become better, because there are all those things that are hitting me and I'm like most of the time just like a victim and just like seeing and feeling the injustice. It just shows me how much I do not see, because anything that is being sent to me is being sent to me as a blessing in its original capsule, in its original seed. Right now it comes to me as garbage or something that is stinking or something that is hard to swallow. It's because I'm just spiritually blind. And those moments where we are given the opportunities to cleanse, such as like, and it's not, again, it's not about the matzah. The matzah awakens an energy. The week of being free from Chametz Gamur is just awakening an energy, awakening a cleansing that is only available during those 7 days. So it's not game over after that. We still have, you know, Pesach the next year. So it's not, you didn't miss anything. And I'm sure also certain lesson that we can keep from Pesach for the entire year so that we don't have to accumulate, you know, all these like wrong decisions for the next Pesach to cleanse and to set ourselves, you know, to be freed from. As we are doing those spiritual lessons, as we elevate day after day, the spiritual work becomes easier. And yeah, that's it for me tonight. Any questions? Okay. Thank you for joining. Happy Passover, and wishing all of you to open your own Red Sea and experience, manifest your own miracles in your own lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Yehuda.
Thank you, Yehuda.
Bless you.
Thank you, you too.